What is up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? My name is Oxtane, and welcome to the Eternal Palace raid preview for patch 8.2 of World of Warcraft. There was recently an update to the PTR build, a different build, about an additional 1.5 gigs that was added. So they actually updated the map of the Eternal Palace, because I was working on another video before this, and there's another YouTuber that came out with a full exploration video on the PTR, and essentially, you know, an untextured room was textured and some changes were made. So this is kind of like a closer to finished version of the Eternal Palace. You may remember this shot from the end of my last video, the Nazjatar exploration video, and you can notice that they have added some outside buildings and stuff around it. And the first time I saw this, I was just absolutely blown away. This is a mind-blowing view. So this is obviously the outside of the Eternal Palace, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. Like one of the coolest looking raid entrances I have seen in WoW. The first time I saw this, my jaw almost just dropped. It was absolutely incredible. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take a look at the interior room, which in the previous build of the PTR was untextured. So let's take a look at that. So this is like the initial entrance. That's where you would come in, where the camera is facing, and then we're going to turn the camera around and take a look inside this room. I get kind of Tomb of Sargeras vibes at the beginning of this room, and it has gotten a lot bigger than the last build, even though it was untextured. And obviously in this room right here, we will probably face Abyssal Commander Savara, the first boss of the Eternal Palace, whether it's that platform right there or slightly above the smaller elevated platform, either or. And I want to take a moment to just look how massive this corridor is, looking at the roof and how far up it goes. Now the draw distance, because the fog is a little, you know, not ideal, but you still get a sense of the scale. So after that boss, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go on either side of these steps and kind of descend down. And we're going to end up in this central room. You get this little Naga statue, super cool looking. Initially, in the first build of this, I thought these were doors on either side, these little purple spheres, but they're actually not. Clear trash in this room, and then we're going to descend down into this water. And then essentially what we're going to do is just kind of swim by. There will probably be trash in here, obviously, and we're just going to clear that. Again, it kind of reminds me of Tomb of Sargeras, the transition between some of the bosses. Then we open up in this big corridor room where we basically have our choice of two bosses initially, left and right, and then the platform in the middle, which we'll get to. I think it's easiest to go left first, and I think this probably is the intended path. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go here, clear some trash, obviously, and we're going to descend into kind of what reminds me of Naga underwater cave, kind of like that Black Fathom Deeps. Kind of reminded me of going into there. And this underwater scenery is just absolutely beautiful. These starfish and these little, I don't even know what they are, like little flowers that glow purple. And then under here, we should face the underwater monstrosity. Now, as far as I know, this is a placeholder character model. It's that Nazjatar Blood Serpent mount model. If you watch the trailer, the official trailer for the Eternal Palace, I think they actually have a different model. And there are these 3 different caves, and in the trailer, it was coming out of the cave, so maybe it'll hop between cave and cave. And then I want to show off this beautiful scenery. At first, I thought these were like jellyfish on the exterior, like hanging off the walls, but no, they're like plants, but they look super, super beautiful. And the art team, once again, is just carrying the WoW development. They're almost making me want to come back and play the game in 8.2. Almost. We're going to go back up, and then we're going to go back down the stairs to that main corridor where we were before. And you can see a little Naga statue here, and then this central platform right here is where I believe we will fight Priscilla Asvane. And it's a pretty big arena, and you'll see it leads down later. Now, whether that boss is there initially for us to fight at that time, or if we have to go back up here to the right hand side, I really don't know. But down this way, you see this beautiful scenery of these torches and this Azshara statue. And I believe this is where there's going to be the Rise of Azshara boss fight, which actually doesn't have an in-game model attached to it, which is why I can't really show it on screen. I would think it would probably look kind of similar to the Wrath of Azshara boss in the Eye of Azshara Legion dungeon. Hopefully, you know, it looks at least a little bit different and it's kind of creative. And I wanted to kind of explore outside the boundaries a little bit because I thought this looked really cool. And I'm not really even sure what's pulling off that lighting effect. It might be underneath the water. It's super cool. I do like these boss arenas a lot. They're fairly big and very obvious, whereas in some of the more recent raids, it's not always as obvious where a boss would be. And you can see that kind of like dark portal down below the water there of the boss arena. So then we're going to go back up and we're going to go into that central platform and probably fight Priscilla there if she's not already dead. And then the floor will open up in the middle like it is there. Either fall down or there's like a teleporter thing down there, which you can see at the beginning of that platform, that little bigger purple sphere. And these, I believe, are embryos, like the hatchery, which is the boss fight that I believe will be right here. It's labeled the hatchery in the dungeon journal. Because of all these embryos around there, that would seem to make the most sense, right? And maybe, you know, he'll try to like access those on the walls and stuff. And there are a couple different NPCs involved, so pretty cool. I thought they were just kind of like weird lighting things, but you can see them like in embryo shapes and they kind of move. So I didn't really realize that until I was looking at the footage, but it's super, super cool. And then you can kind of see what that looks like from below. Going up looks super, super awesome. And then we're going to go ahead and continue to go down. And we got more embryos and stuff like that. And then we're going to go back underwater. And I really like the transitions between land and water. I think it's really, really cool. And we see more of those beautiful looking plants that look like jellyfish. And then we see like a grate, which I did go behind there and it's just a dead end because I wasn't really sure, because it's big enough that you could probably fit through it, but there really isn't anything on the other end. And the underwater architecture in this raid just looks absolutely beautiful. And then we're going to go above water and probably clear some more trash in this room that looks pretty much identical to the room that we were at the beginning of the raid. But there's a main door that looks a little bit different that we're going to go through here. And this is actually an untextured hallway right now. The only untextured thing still left in the raid. And this room I thought was really beautiful. The waterfall, the lighting, everything looks absolutely incredible. Once again, the art team, you've really outdone yourselves. And I believe right here is where we're going to face Azshara High Command, which is these two NPCs here being shown on screen. And look at that awesome skybox as well. That wave pattern looks super, super cool. Beautiful. Probably on that platform down below, maybe transition to that or spire up above. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to end up going to the final section of the raid, going down these stairs. Another cool looking Azshara statue. I thought it was really, really beautiful looking. And then again, there are two sides of stairs, so pick your choice. And I chose the left, and we're going to continue to go down. And this is kind of the descent into madness, if you will. There's another mirroring statue on that other side of the wall, just to kind of match that aesthetic. And then here we are approaching the final part of the raid. And this part also kind of blew my mind. And Herald of Nazjatar, based on the trailer, will also be on this platform. It is a huge platform with a huge egg-shaped dome. And outside these walls is water. That stage set, what an awesome backdrop. And you see those chains and stuff in the background, which we will get to. You can actually access them through the camera tool. And I would imagine that is where we will fight Queen Azshara herself on that central bubble platform that I'm approaching. And I was just blown away by how beautiful this looks. And you won't really ever get to see it in game either, because you're not meant to be in this water. But all these particle effects going on and the amount of detail in the surrounding area of this water, it is absolutely beautiful and absolutely blew my mind. And it's kind of a shame you won't get to see this amount of detail in the game, and it's just going to serve as the backdrop for that main arena right there. And you can see these gigantic titan pillars with chains going towards the bottom of the seafloor, obviously meant to be the chains of Nazjatar during the course of the fight. And there she is, the Queen Azshara model. Looks really, really incredible. Again, I'm not currently subbed to WoW, but the art team is sure making me wish I was. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up the Eternal Palace raid preview. Overall, I am pretty blown away by the visuals. I mean, again, I know I've said it about a billion times at this point, but the WoW art team has really, really outdone themselves. Here's kind of an outer view of these arenas, and you can see how far back these pillars go. And I kind of just hit a visible wall eventually, but I really tried to go back as far as I could because it just looks so dope. So here's kind of an outer view to close the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll be back with more content very soon. Till next time.